Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Delaware Orthopedic Specialists. Spring has officially sprung, and you know what that means. All the weekend warriors dusting off their gear and trying way too hard to relive the glory days, and you know what's going to happen. Hip, ankle, foot, leg, knee, shoulder, injuries. Where else should you go other than Delaware Orthopedic Specialists? I don't know. DOS has specialists trained in each and every part of the body, so you're getting a provider specifically assigned to that part of the body. Why would you trust anyone other than a specialist? The only fellowship-trained surgery center in the state of Delaware makes it a no-brainer. Head on over to delortho.com or give them a call at 302-655-9494. I'm telling you, my family's gone there. My friends have gone there. Check out their Google reviews. They are phenomenal. DOS. Don't trust anyone other than a specialist.
Welcome to Talkin 215, your go-to podcast for everything you need to know about Philly sports. Whether you bleed green, trust the process, fly with the Flyers, or fight with the Fightins. This is the place where we break down Broad Street. Jake, Sean, and Joey deep dive into the heart of Philly sports culture, breaking down games, roster moves, and sharing the stories that make the 215 truly legendary. So grab a cheesesteak, settle in, and let's get to Talkin 215. Now here's your host, Jake Biasado.
Yo, we are back talking 215. Phillies off to a hot start. Here to talk about it, we got the doc, we got Sean. Gentlemen, 5-1. Pitchers just dueling out there. Hitters not doing diddly squat until about the 6th inning. Either way, we are a week into the MLB regular season. How are we feeling?
You know, I have learned over the years to take it easy, to just, okay, the games don't start till the 6th. I'm going to get frustrated at some point when we start to invariably find a stretch, a losing stretch. But as of right now, I'm keeping it loose. I'm keeping it free. I'm just kind of trying to get a feel for the team. And what I feel is if this team's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I think the schedule has favored them slightly, but at least we're not Atlanta. We haven't completely been burned to the ground in the first week, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're seeing what we see every year. I understand you got June Schwarber. You always have April Edmundo. Edmundo's just lighting up everything. He's always been a great glove, and then his bat has just been incredible since he's been filling in for Trey a lot of the games with his weird back spasms. Doc, we'll talk about that momentarily, but he's been a huge part of what's helped them win these games. You got a number of guys. JT had a big game today. Trey had a big game yesterday. Schwarber's getting off to the hottest start of his career thus far. I'm still waiting for the home run he hit today to come down. I mean, that was an absolute moonshot. And look, I've talked about it. Ryan Howard's just backhand bat drop was it's probably the coolest, no doubt, home run thing that I've ever seen a Philly do, where when he knew he connected one, he just barrel the bats touching the dirt. He just lets it go and he goes on a trot. But close second, when Schwarber just looks at the dugout and he's almost just like shrugs, like, yep, fucking crush that one. Like, he just stops, turns and looks at him, doesn't say anything, doesn't make a face, just like, you see that? Yeah. I'm gonna go for a little jog, gentlemen. You all do that run and shit. I'm gonna go for a little jog. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I think the key is right now is they're getting the wins they should be getting, which is what I'm glad to see.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got a couple of guys that are getting paid to step up, that are stepping up, and some players that aren't getting paid to step up, right? I mean, that's going to be what it takes over the course of a long season, is a guy like Edmundo Sosa stepping up when he's called up to play, right? He won't be the last person that we need to rely on that isn't getting this high dollar, right? That needs to step up and perform if this team is going to make it anywhere.
Yeah, Johan Rojas, obviously a guy that's fighting for starting time. You heard Thompson say that Brandon Marsh is going to be his guy to go out every day. Obviously, that's already been proven to be a lie, as he was benched 2 games ago. But Rojas is going to be struggling to get some time out there. It did everything you needed him to do 2 games ago.
Laying down some bunts.
Yeah. 2 for 2 with a sacrifice bunt and I think 2 walks or 1 walk. Either way, his at-bats were all great. We had a successful sacrifice bunt in this economy. For the Phils to lay down a successful sacrifice bunt, that's incredible. I mean, we played a little bit of small ball. We had a single. Pass ball gets the guy over to second, bunts him over to third, single brings him in. It's just the baseball you love to see. You can't always rely on the long ball, as the Phillies seemingly try to do. But with all those positives, I still need to bring up something that they have struggled with for seemingly 5 years straight now, and that's bases loaded with less than 2 outs. This team loses every brain cell they have when the bases are loaded and they have less than 2 outs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, ever since Topper's been on board, it feels like this team just goes completely brain dead. I mean, you kind of hit the hammer on the head, with the nail on the head there.
Yeah, I mean, it was Harper's return season from the UCL that it was like his 5th or 6th game being back, and they had yet to have a hit with bases loaded and 1 or less out or something like that months into the season. And he ripped one under the first baseman's glove, and it was, I want to say, like June or July that they finally got their first hit with bases loaded. I forget if it was either nobody out or just 1 out. And you're just seeing the same thing. And it's funny because you're not seeing just striking out, hacking for the fence. You're seeing these rollover ground balls. You're seeing just lazy pop-ups. Just nobody can get solid bat on ball when it matters in those situations.
I feel like just runners in scoring position as a whole, like, don't look at the numbers. I'm sure it just feels this way, but it feels like more guys score from first than second or third. Right? It feels like when we've got a guy on first, we're much more comfortable hitting. We find the gaps, right? And whenever we get guys in scoring position, it just seems to, like, the game seems to speed up for everybody. It's almost inexplicable. It's 1 through 9, it feels like.
No, it's pretty nuts. And like you said, it's been since Rob Thompson's come on, and I'm not going to be an episode. You know my feelings about Rob Thompson. Not the biggest fan. He's had a lot of success. He's a hell of a lot better than Joe Girardi. Like, it is what it is. This isn't going to be an episode ripping him. But since he's been the manager, it seems like runners in scoring position has always been a struggle point for the Phils. I know last season, if you watched the game, you were like, yeah, they're terrible with runners in scoring position. And then there'd be a stat that popped up. It's like Phillies top 3 in MLB batting average with runners in scoring position. And you're like, when? When did this happen? Like, I'm watching the game. I see them going 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. It's not there. But I guess the numbers say a little bit of a different story. Numbers that I really love to see: 7 through 9 hitters. Saw that stat today. Phillies lead all of MLB by a wide margin. 7 through 9 hitters for the Phils, batting .379. Love to see that.
You're going to win some ball games when you're 6 through 9 hitters or 7 through 9 hitters are in .379.
Small sample.
Yeah.
Sample.
That's the only sample there is to pick from.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask both of you guys your opinion on a player that I've seen getting ripped pretty heavily on Twitter and all. I love Brandon Marsh. I think he's a solid glove. I think he's, when they just stick with him, which, like, I hope that they're going to do, you see him get a lot of big hits from that time to time. And he's a 260 to 280 hitter. Like, he's not anything nuts, but right now he's batting, I think, 305. He's got a home run. He's got some RBIs. And he struggled with the bases loaded. If Kepler ran a little bit harder and had a better slide, he would have legged out that bloop infield hit, the amazing barehanded play by their pitcher today. But people are just ripping him with line ball to center field. He kind of pulls up on it, lets it bounce. I saw 5 tweets. Rojas would have caught that ball. And then they have the he doesn't get an RBI with bases loaded. Oh, I can't wait for Marsh to get off this team. I think the guy's getting a little bit of a bad rap for a guy that's probably an 8 or 9 hole hitter on any team that he's on.
Yeah, so I think that we've made so much out of he can't hit lefties, right? That at this point, anytime he fails to get on base while facing a lefty, the screams, the boos are just going to be entirely too loud. Like, I think we've really kicked it up a notch, right? As far as any sort of errors in the field, I'm not entirely sure. I just don't know if this fan base thinks that by and large that Rojas is the answer out in center. I haven't really seen that too much. I haven't heard too many people clamoring for it. I just think that whenever he's playing a lefty, all eyes are on him like, hey, buddy, you better get on base or I'm going to bitch so loud. You have never heard me complain this loud before.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just think that you put so much emphasis on that. And I think, yes, everybody, I mean, if you put a microscope on anybody, I mean, obviously nobody's perfect. And especially with such a, like you said before, a small sample size this season. And I think you have to allow him the time to kind of get a body of work this season before you start pointing the finger.
But my big thing is like he's 7 or like an 8 or 9 hitter.
Yeah.
He's always been. He's never been a guy that you're like, oh, Brandon Marsh, we need him to step up and be Shane Victorino. Like he's not that guy. He's a above average glove, and he's a average to slightly above average 7 to 9 hole hitter. He's probably an above average 7 to 9 hole hitter.
Well, I mean, also, I think it speaks a lot to just the, I don't want to say disappointment necessarily, but kind of the underwhelming growth in some of these daycare guys. Like, I don't know how much you attribute or how much you consider Marsh to be a daycare guy coming from the Angels, but it's just that these guys, we expect to make these leaps season after season, and you haven't really seen it. They've been kind of the same players by and large that they were when they got into the big leagues, right? And Brandon Marsh is a guy, again, he's a starter. So the expectations are going to be there, whether he's batting first or ninth. Like he's a major league
Moniak starter.
Oh, yeah. And he didn't cut it here. He's the 9-hole hitter on the worst team in baseball. Like, this is the 8-hole guy on a top 6 team in the league, in the MLB, So I just think it goes to, oh goodness, we had another guy that failed to meet our expectations, and it's just on us.
I think it's a
fine player. He's
exactly. I don't think it's on him. I think it's on us for having elevated expectations.
Like the guy's batting 308 right now. He's hit a dinger, right? It's what, four hits out of 13 at bats. Like what do you want from the guy? How much more do you want from the guy?
Yeah. No, I think we have unrealistic expectations on him. I mean, when he came over from the Angels, yeah, I get it. We gave up the top catching prospect at that time, and so you expected a bigger return. You thought, we were going to get a higher touted prospect or a better starting caliber player. And he came in, I think he's batting 205 career batting average in Los Angeles. In Philadelphia, I'll pull it up, but I think it's somewhere in like the 250s, 260s with a little bit of pop every now and then. And above average glove, he's making a lot of good plays. He has a plus arm out there, which we seem to struggle to find arms in our outfield. And I think it's like, hey, did we just expect this guy to completely change from being a guy that was a terrible, almost unplayable bat in Los Angeles to being an absolute stud here in Philadelphia? Yeah, I mean, his career batting average in Philadelphia, he went 288 in his first year here, 277. Last year was his down year at 250. I mean, that's a 270 batting average, 272, something like that. Like that's a great batting average for a 7, 8, 9 hole guy.
Okay, and I mean, just going back to not getting enough in the trade involving him. I mean, it's not like Hoppy's been hitting the leather off the ball.
No, he had a solid start. Then he had I don't even remember the injury he had, but it was something nasty where he was out for a long time. But I'm looking up his stats now. He had a hot start, cooled off. He's back playing again.
He's hit batting
slow start.
We have our catcher of the future in Marchand. Like I mean, I believe most people at least think that we've got our catcher of the future.
We have a couple of prospects too. If Marchand doesn't work out, that could turn into something.
He's a year older, I think, than Hoppy. So it's not like there's an age gap there where we're losing much of anything. I mean, so I don't know. I think I really don't know what to think. I don't know why the expectations were so much higher for him than they clearly are. He's playing reasonably well. I've got nothing to complain about as far as Marshy goes.
Yeah, Doc, we bring in Marsh. We trade O'Hoppy's, being told that he's going to be our everyday center fielder. Up until this season, he's been a platoon guy with him being benched against almost any lefty. What were your expectations, and has Brandon Marsh lived up to them? Has he exceeded them? Is he a disappointment to you? What are you thinking?
I don't think he's a disappointment. I think sometimes in this town, people get labeled as heroes or villains, and some people can get away. I mean, you take another player with the same statistics and he won't get the microscope on him. Yeah. I think it was just the nature of how he was acquired, what people thought they gave up. And so far, yeah, he's not lighting it up, but I don't think the realistic expectation was that he was going to. Like you said, he is what he is. And I think that people just have this, everybody's got to be an all-star at every position. And that's just not how baseball works for most teams outside of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, O'Hoppy's having a rough major league career thus far. 242 batting average in the majors thus far with LA. Yeah. He's got off to a slow start this season. He's a great defensive catcher, and I wish him nothing but the best. He's in a terrible situation over there in Los Angeles. But MLB, we talk all the time, you never know what prospects are going to be.
Right.
It's so rare that you have that Bryce Harper, that Adley Rutschman type player where it's like, oh, from the day they were drafted, we knew this guy was going to be an absolute monster. And again, I wish nothing but the best for him, but we got a guy that, I mean, I think a lot of people could look at and say we won that trade.
I think it worked out fine for both sides. I mean, this isn't, listen, we're 5-1 right now. We've got a good team. The offense has been producing, whether it's against the starters or relief pitching. They've been producing by and large 6 games into the season. Again, the sample size isn't anything that we can really make any sort of judgments on. It's just the same sort of the same thoughts we had at the end of last season. At any one point, we have to voice them and to shout them at the top of the mountaintops. We're going to do just that, and that's all we've seen. This team is playing good until further notice, right? Let's see when the Dodgers come around to town.
Hey, we're going to see there. I'll be there on Sunday. Thank you to Doc Mesa and our friends at DOS. Come out to the tailgate and catch us over at the game. It'd be a good time. And then, Doc, I want to talk to you. We talked about guys with big expectations, guys that were paying to play big, guys that were not. Guy we've talked about a lot in the preseason and a lot in the first week of the season. Trey Turner missed 3 games with back spasms that seemingly came up an hour before game 2. Was it game 2 that he started the miss? Yeah, game 2, right? He missed 2 through 5, or 2 through 4, and came back late in game 5. He pinch hit at the very end of game 5, and he's been back the past 2 games. So it sprung up very late at the end of, right before the game. Is this something that, with that type of injury, what usually causes a back spasm? Is it something that we should expect to return periodically throughout the season? Because it seems like it's kind of you're debilitated with it while it's occurring, but then once it's gone, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes up that suddenly, you got to blame it on muscle overuse. Something irritated it. Fortunately, if you don't have any association with any neurologic symptoms, it's not something major. I don't know for sure, but it doesn't sound like he has any significant history with regards to his back. So I think a spasm can come up anytime. I mean, I've seen players lock up, like you said, an hour before a game, and the spasm gets so intense that they can barely walk. And you try to treat it, but again, it's the beginning of the season. You don't want to push this because, it's not like he's David Wells and it's the World Series and you're going to trot him out there. I don't know if you guys remember David Wells, but he got out of a starting game with the Yankees because his back locked up on him. So it happens. I don't think this is a sign of anything sinister or any, it's not like he's had recurrence like Ranger has. So I feel like it's probably muscular. It's going to take time. It is hard to go from total rest to get back and playing in the major leagues, no matter how good a player you are. So I think they're just trying to test him, trot him out late in games where he doesn't have to play, and then see how he performs, see how his back feels after the game. And I think the next week or so, he should be playing more consistently. So I'm hopeful that this is just sort of a one-time thing. Like I said, I don't think he has a history of it. So I think they're just being cautious with him at this point. And fortunately, the person that's filling in for him is doing a good job.
Seriously, I mean, they're shoving Edmundo wherever they can to keep his bat in the lineup because he's just delivering in huge spots every single time that he's out there, which is great.
I mean, it's just frustrating to see it so early in the season,
Yeah.
right? It seems like Trey was out for a couple of weeks last year with that hamstring. He's out, the first week of the season with back spasms. It's just always something that, anything that can be aggravated by any sort of twisting and turning. It's like baseball is such a sport that requires you to be able to twist your trunk pretty explosively and violently. So it's like, well, damn, when is this going to rear its ugly head again throughout the season?
Hopefully
not. Yeah, but absolutely he's, at risk for that because it's just, like you said, the grind of the season. Something may get you, especially with, like you said, the nature of the sport.
Yeah. I am liking what I'm seeing thus far. On a separate note, is the aggression on the base paths. Obviously, whatever that idiotic decision with, what was it, JT on third and Marsh on first, and they tried to do that, delayed steal where Marsh steals second, gets in a rundown, and JT goes home. And they did it terribly. But aside from that, the aggression on the base paths has been great. You're seeing Turner go out there, try to steal a bunch. Stott stealing. JT stole his 98th career base today. So when he gets to 100, he'll be in rarefied air with catchers at least 100 career stolen bases. So that'll be great for him. It's just stuff that there's things that disappointed me in previous seasons not seeing. And seeing it early on this year is definitely making me optimistic. I'm hoping that they continue to do that, even if they go through a slump where they're getting caught a number of times. We have too many fast guys, too many smart base runners on this team to just abandon it for any reason. And when we're struggling with hitting with guys on base, you might as well try to get them to third and at least try to sacrifice them in whenever we can, because it seems like we said, the offense, when you look at the box score at the end of the game, you can't really be upset with it. But when you're watching the first 6 innings of all of these games, you're like, what the hell are we doing? Nobody's stringing anything together. You have random guys that are getting hits and then ground into inning double plays, or never letting them advance past second base. And so just love the aggression, love to continue them doing that. And hopefully that'll just continue throughout the season.
I mean, how much I love the aggression on the base path. I'm just waiting for the season to really start when Bryce Harper just blows right through a Dusty Wathan stop sign, right? Just heading home. I don't care what you have to say. And then he gets called out at home, right? I'm just waiting for it so that way we can finally crack that beer that is the season, right? So I love the aggression. I feel like we're missing one major piece of the pie here so that we can really say, okay, it's baseball.
Well, all we need is one of them to do it, because Dusty's throwing up stop signs if the ball's even anywhere on the field. He hates sending guys and risking them getting out. And I get it. It's a tough job over there being a third base coach. But he's kind of had a reputation of holding guys when they have no business being held. Not so much sending guys when they shouldn't. It's usually just very, very, very cautious with him over at third base and making sure they don't get into any situation where you're seeing the guy like, what it wouldn't have even been remotely close had you sent him home. So hopefully that won't come back to bite him. Guys that have been promising, Orion Kerkering has looked great. It looks like he's really coming into his own. Obviously, up until the All-Star break last season, he was a stud. He had a rough end to the season. Matt Strom's continuing to do his thing, but really Orion's looked great. Jose got in and out of trouble today.
Strom looked shaky yesterday. He looked like either his groin
got out of it.
Flexor he threw 30 pitches in the inning though.
Yeah.
So it wasn't your typical Strom. I think he made it pretty obvious that he's dealing with a little something. I don't know if it's serious or something that could be shaken out over the next couple appearances, but he was definitely favoring his groin or his IT band. It was something on one side or the other.
Well, hopefully that's just more work and early in the season jitters, and everything's a little bit tight because they're not getting nearly as much work as they're going to get later in the year. And
I'll tell you who's got the early season jitters is Mr. Romano.
Yeah, Lil Dicky's struggling out there.
That's another guy that looks like a Pixar villain. He looks like he would really be trying to blow up all the minions or something. with his looks, his beard, his hair, his wind up, his delivery. It's all very like children's animated villain-esque to me. And he's pitching like it too.
Yeah. Oh no, he's struggling. He's a guy that was brought in 2 previous All-Star appearances. I mean, our guy Ben Silver was singing his praises before the regular season, and obviously he's going to be a fine pitcher. But what kind of scratched my head, I never watched a lot of Romano, whatever, however you pronounce it, when he was on other teams. But is he really just strictly a 2-pitch pitcher? He only throws the 2 pitches, the slider and the fastball. And it seems like it's 75% slider, 25% fastball. And when he's not been locating the slider all that well, they've been teeing off on him early. But it's like you watch on the MLB app, if you're catching an inning that you can't watch on TV or anything, and you see the pitch per at bat, you're just seeing like slider, fastball, slider, because they're almost always long counts. He's barely getting guys out early in these at bats. So would like to see him turn it around a little bit. And then Alvarado, you're going to have it early in the year where he loses a little bit of control. He lost it a little bit today. Again, he worked out of it, was able to get the save today. But that was struggles that you were just going to see. You can't expect a guy to never give up an earned run for an entire season.
Yeah, so back to Romano. That is like your quintessential closer kind of pitch selection, though, right? It's just hammer the slider and occasionally hit him with a little heater. It literally is. They showed it. I think they said it on the radio. It is 75% sliders and 25% fastballs. Just spamming it, right? You don't even need to know what button it is. Okay, you're hitting the circle or you're hitting the X. Okay, before you're throwing that pitch, and then. I don't know. Alvarado just got himself into a little bit of a pickle earlier today and got himself out of it. Right? He's looked fantastic up until this point. So I think that's just a little. I don't know if it was just he just said, I'm playing the Rockies here, and we're not going to take them particularly serious. Because I tell you, Wheeler said I'm playing the Rockies. Like I'm going to throw 94-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle. I dare you to swing at it. And they didn't. So I think Alvarado saw that and was like, yeah, I'll just throw, 94 right down the middle. We'll see if, there's a single, right? So I think it was like a bit of the same mindset here.
Yeah, I think his placement was a little off, whether he was being caught like just lackadaisical with it or whatnot. But you said he's throwing 94. I wanted to comment, and Doc, I wanted to ask you about this. He's been hitting numbers regularly that you saw him rarely hit in years past. We always knew he's a power pitcher. His first year with us, he'd approach 99, 100 with that turbo sinker, and then the following years would still be right around that 99 to 100. I've repeatedly seen 101, 102. His sinker is almost always triple digits. Doctor, this is a slimmer Jose Alvarado. This is the brown bear that we're seeing this year.
Yeah.
Is that helping him? Because right now you'd expect that faster speed to come when the weather's a little bit warmer, when they're a little bit more stretched out. His first strikeout of the season was on a 102-mile-per-hour turbo sinker. Is this because of, like, what might be attributing to him being able to reach velocities that he barely touch in years past?
Well, I think slimmer also translate to probably he did a lot of work getting more muscular, getting more core strength. And I think that shows. And I feel like, the power comes from below. And I think him slimming down and hopefully exchanging the fat for muscle is what's giving him the better velocity and the better, the question is it sustainable through a season? And I think so. I think he did the right thing, kind of worked on it. I don't think he's changed his technique at all. So it's just a question of him getting into the weight room and kind of, deciding that he wanted to improve what he could improve upon. And that would be probably his trunk strength and his lower extremity strength. And that translates to increased velocity.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is just him taking his fitness a little more seriously. Some of these guys aren't really hitting the weights particularly often, right? I mean, or he could be getting a little jerks and Profar, cocktail during the off season. You never know. He's innocent until proven otherwise.
Hey.
No, he's probably just hitting the weights a little bit harder, right? Some of these guys have been pitching 365 days a year since they were 10 years old and haven't really had like a genuine strength and conditioning program. You got to hope that's the case here.
Today's episode is brought to you by White Glove Car Wash. Man, it feels like we just never get a break. We go from salt and brine on the roads right into pollen season, and our car never seems to be as clean as we needed it to be. That's where White Glove steps in. They're offering unlimited car wash packages for as low as $20 a month. You can take your car in daily and make sure that it is shiny, squeaky clean like you always want it to be, and not have to worry about cleaning it yourself. And with the satisfaction guarantee, you will never have to worry about it being just right. With locations in Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, you are never too far from the glove. Family owned and operated for over 40 years, go out and support small businesses this year and support your car by giving it the best car wash possible. Just ask your phone to take you to White Glove Car Wash and be taken to the nearest location to you, and let them give you the best car wash you have ever experienced.
Speaking of strength and conditioning, anybody that's been to Citizens Bank Park in the past number of years have seen the worst, most cringy Jumbotron spectacular where they do the CP ranking cap or no cap. And I've got a cap or no cap questions for you all. This is the DOS cap or no cap segment. All right, this is the White Glove Car Wash cap or no cap segment of the game. Taijuan Walker talked about how he started his off-season workouts a month earlier and did it at a much higher intensity than he has in years past. And he attributes that to his strength of start that he had today, the standing ovation that had his mother in tears. White Glove Car Wash, cap or no cap, is Taijuan Walker somebody you can trust as a fifth starter?
Oh my God. I remember actually having a tiff with him on Twitter because of his home gym facility. A month earlier, I don't know. I don't think that has much.
Called a Marriott hotel gym.
Yeah, that's exactly where he trains. It's a hotel gym, right? It's in his basement or a spare bedroom or something.
He was not pleased that you called it a Marriott hotel gym.
Well, maybe if he didn't have like marble floors in his gym, okay, that would, maybe that would stray me away from it. Absolute cap. This is not a guy that you're going to rely on for 20 games this season, however many you need him here. He played the Rockies. I love that he had a fantastic start. It seems like even the family knows, like, hey, he's going through it. He's having a rough time. I'm rooting for the guy. I hope his mother cries happy tears after all of his starts. But come on, let's be honest. This is a guy that had an ERA north of 6 last year with a much larger sample size, and has only proven that he's getting worse and worse as time goes on. No. He probably debuted some new stuff today. He had good command. He had good control. He was setting up a couple pitches early in the earlier innings that paid off in the 5th and the 6th. I thought it was fantastic, but it's not sustainable. Cap on that.
Doc, cap or no cap?
I'm too old to understand what that means, but I'm going to go with cap because I don't think, and we talked about this earlier, I think it's great that he did this. I think it sets him up for, I think he's a placeholder for when other people get healthy. And I think if he, any good innings we get from him is a bonus, in my opinion. So I think it's good. I think hopefully he pitches well enough that he might be attractive to another team when the time is right, so that maybe we can, if need be, kind of formulate a trade or something. But like I said, I mean, hey, he got us a win. I mean, kudos to him. Hopefully it is sustainable. I think that sometimes, like you said before, any workout is probably more than he had done before. So maybe there is a little bit of improvement in his physique. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a tough start. I'm cap as well. I've said it with a lot of guys that I just don't have strong feelings in. I would love to be proven wrong. I'm not going to sit here and actively root against any player on the team. Right. I want everybody to go out there. I want him to be a Cy Young candidate. That would make me as happy as can be. But I think it's unlikely to expect him to be anywhere close to this consistently. I would love to see it improved and go down from a 7 ERA last year down into the 4s or 5s would be a vast improvement for this year. If you can get 6-inning, 3-run baseball out of Taijuan Walker until Ranger gets back, until Painter is healthy, I think every single person on this fan base would be very happy about that. And to Doc's point, we're able to ship him out for something more than just cash considerations. Even if we get, the Orioles' third ball girl and their 50th prospect, that's a win. That's a W in my book.
Listen, the one that's on the third baseline, she's on it.
Oh no, not the third base. I mean, their third, like their alternate.
Oh,
their third stringer. Yeah.
And then there's a reason why we gave this guy the businessman special start, right? It's a Thursday at 1:00 against the worst team in all of baseball, just about, right? They knew the pressure was going to be as low as it could possibly be here. And good for him. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He did even better than he was supposed to do. So kudos to him. Hopefully there is some momentum from one start to the next. I'm not sure how much I buy into that, but it's better than getting rocked.
Yeah. With him having a number of days off early, I don't think we're going to have the luxury of him being able to be like that 6th game starter. He's going to go into that normal 5-game rotation now that we're not going to have days off, 2 days off in the first 4 games or something ridiculous like that. So we're not going to be able to squeeze in a few extra guys in there. But overall, everybody's looked great except for Nola. He still has that RAV 4th inning jinx. He blew up in the 4th. He blew up in the 5th. Wasn't even able to get out of the 5th. It's tough to watch. I don't know. I was talking to a coworker of mine, and he was like, "Look, as long as we get the same postseason Nola we've had the past 3 years, I don't care what his ERA is in the regular season." And that's a long ways away. So I certainly hope that it gets better now. But rough first outing from him when it looked so promising through 3 1/3. He was absolutely shoving. So we'll see. Doc, we're late enough in the episode where we can not funly bring up one Joel Embiid. For all the people sticking around to hear news on the hard court, Joel had left knee surgery today, and reports are it was successful. Doc, what does that even mean, and what can we expect yet again from our 7'2" center from Cameroon?
Well, successful is a term you can use, and basically, I think you can just apply it to say, "Hey, he came out of it unscathed." In terms,
he did not die.
He survived the procedure. I mean, in terms of what they do, I mean, obviously they're very obscure about what happened. I mean, I think I don't know what successful means because they don't give the details. I mean, it could be that, like you said, that he survived the procedure. I mean, we don't know what was done. There's no disclosure of, did he have another partial meniscectomy? Did he have surgery on his cartilage? I haven't seen anything about the particulars. And I worry about that because, it's the thing where there's so much up in the air with him and there's so much at stake with this. I worry about, are you getting diminishing returns from these procedures? Because at the end of the day, every time you go in there, you potentially can remove more cartilage, which is sort of the lifeblood of an athlete in their knee. So that's what worries me. And the fact that they said, well, we didn't have to repair anything means that they just did a sort of a cleanup. And again, like I said, a cleanup just means you're taking a little bit more away from his knee. And every time you do that, it's harder and harder to recover. So I don't know what successful means in this context. I hope it means there was a problem and we fixed it. But I have a suspicion that that's not what they were getting at when they said that.
Dr. Joel Embiid is 31 years old. Under 36.5 for total knee replacement.
Over under for knee replacement? No, he's over that. I mean, what though? I mean, there's plenty of things to do, short of a knee replacement. And
no, I'm just messing up.
Yeah, but again, I would love to see what his knee looked like, and it's I'll say this again, it's no slight on him. It's just, it's what happens. You are a big guy who played reckless during his career, and everybody told him, stop doing that, and he kept doing it, and he had injuries, and he's had a horrific run of bad luck. I'm going to give him to that because people say he's lazy, this is that. No, he plays hard, and he's played through many injuries that have kind of like fallen out. I mean, the one playoffs, his one finger was 90 degrees in the opposite direction, and he played, and there was little fanfare about that. So I give him a lot of props for being a tough guy. A lot of people slight him for being lazy, but I totally disagree. I think you're dealt a, being 7 foot, whatever, is a blessing and a curse, because you are putting a lot of load on those knees and playing basketball. I mean, the saving grace for him, as opposed to some of these other big guys like Yao Ming and the others, is that he did not start playing basketball till later in his life. Because I bet you if he was a high school basketball phenom, played in Kansas for however many years, we would have seen signs of breakdown earlier in his career. And I think that we're seeing that area now. I hope it's not true. I mean, I worry that it may be the case, but I'm still optimistic because, they, for better or worse, they're like a hockey team now, not giving us any specifics about what the injury is. And to me, as an orthopedic surgeon, I'm like, I need to know more to make an intelligent decision about, or a thought about what's going on. But going in and scoping his knee, just kind of like, yeah, we're going to do this now, without saying what exactly they did, kind of makes me a little leery.
Doc, sticking with the Sixers, going over to their other phenom, and Tyrese Maxey, expect to be ruled out for the season with a finger tendon injury.
Yeah.
Is this something that we should expect will change his game for his career, or is this something that we should see a full recovery coming into the 26th season?
I expect him to recover. I mean, I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship in this. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, they're trying. No, I'll say it. They're trying to lose. You see the lineup they're putting out there. They're trying to lose.
Yeah. And so I think that he's going to be fine. I don't worry about that, but again, it is what it is. If we were in a playoff run, if these games really mattered, I think he would have been out. He'd be back playing tonight or Saturday. So I don't put a lot of, I don't worry about his longevity. He's the one player I don't worry about that with on that team.
I'll tell you, Bona, what's his name? Bona or center, 13 of 14 from the field tonight. Guy is just scoring.
Yeah.
Good for him. Again, you got guys out there just fighting for the next contract. They're still losing games, which is what they're trying to do, but it's somewhat entertaining to watch because these guys are going out there given an opportunity that they wouldn't get on 25 other NBA teams, and they're doing everything they can to earn that next contract. And you're seeing some fun basketball from these guys.
Yeah.
And when I'm tuning in, I'm looking for them to lose. I have zero faith in Daryl Morey, so it's like, why am I rooting for a high lottery pick? Because I don't expect them to really get it right. But I am that cynic that still hopes that they have a high draft pick and somehow it hits. But you're seeing a lot of heart, and when people are saying, "Oh, March Madness shows how college basketball is so much better than the pros," and I tend to agree with you there because they put a lot more out on the court and a lot of heart. You're seeing a lot of heart out of this Sixers team. Losing, they're still losing, but they're going out there and not just rolling over.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. They're playing for their livelihood. They're playing for another contract or an extension. I mean, Grimes is tearing it up, and you can't blame them for that. I mean, this is like, I'm playing, no matter what you say, I'm playing in an NBA game, and I'm scoring X amount of points against a better team because every other team is better. So it really parlays to somebody's going to take a run on him and say, hey, you know what? You're worth a deal, And I think that, it helps players like him and Yabusele and these other guys to have people look at him and say, hey, you're worth taking a shot at.
Yeah.
I don't think we're seeing many starters out there, but we're seeing players that could hold their own in the NBA off the bench.
Yeah, we got a couple teams here in Philadelphia that are going to be fighting for top 5 picks, and they're both in lottery systems where we're hoping that 10% chance of a first overall pick lands.
We're not going to get the cold envelope in the NBA lottery. I can guarantee that. with our relationship with the commissioner.
Oh yeah,
ain't happening.
Yeah, no, it's and anybody that doesn't think there's some kind of rigging in all of these all of these sports, it's there's something there. And so Doc's right. there is little to no shot that we are getting the first overall selection
in the NBA.
In the NBA. Yeah, possibly in the NHL, which would be fun.
Yeah,
and you're seeing some young, promising players. There's still a lot of pieces away from really being a competitive team again. But Michkov is explosive. He's everything that we had desired for him to be. They have a number of other guys that still show a lot of promise. So
they've been undefeated since Torts was released.
Yeah, the one thing we don't need, again, lose. Like Torts.
One thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're probably better than their record indicates. Torts is not a rebuild coach. He's probably the last guy you'd want on a rebuilding team. And you saw how they played under him over the past 3 weeks to a month that he was the coach. And you're seeing what they're doing under interim head coach Brad Shaw, who, again, he's given the opportunity to head coach an NHL team, which he's most likely not going to get at any other time. And he's doing it up. He's living it up. And so hopefully that can continue. But again, I still hope that they lose a lot of games because what is it? 6 picks or 8 picks in the first 2 rounds over the next 2 years?
Yeah, it's impressive. This offseason is going to determine their future in a very significant way.
Oh yeah. 100%. Sean, any thoughts on
I mean, we didn't really talk about
fly guys.
Sports. I'm surprised that they did in the middle of the season because you see it time and time again. The team gets fired up when a coach gets fired.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. They start playing a hell of a lot more inspired. So for a team that's vowing for a top 2-3 pick, right? I think right now, what are they? The third worst record in the NHL?
Yeah, fifth worst record.
Okay. Right now. Right. So I mean,
they've won every game since he's been fired.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Exactly. So it's a bit of a surprising thing. I mean, it goes to show how much Torts had really run his course in that organization, and they couldn't stand him anymore.
Yeah, I think that's way more to say how shitty Torts was than it is.
I think it was Chip Kelly toxic, and they were like, enough. So, and I did
saw that coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when he was hired, I was like, really? We're not very good. And we're not a coach away from being very good.
Yeah.
And so it was a head scratching signing from when he got it. But like Cam York, young potential staple in the defense, played 0 minutes under Torts, and they couldn't scratch him day of. So they literally played one less player. He was on the bench for the entirety of the game, got 0 seconds of ice time because they were clashing. It's just stuff that you don't really want to see from a coach, along with him just giving up on the entire team. Let's see. As a team, Flyers are 3rd worst in the East with 71 points. They're very close to. They could be worse in the East very quickly. Both teams below them have at least 1 game in hand, to which if they win, they will be last place in the East with 71 points. And then they would be, right now they're sitting 7th, technically 7th or 8th worst in the MLB, but it's very close, and they could very quickly fall right back into 5th or 4th worst in hockey. So, hey, fingers crossed we can get to 3rd worst in all of hockey. That would be great.
Yeah. I think the issue is, again, the Flyers have been kind of snake bit with their picks of late. You got one in Canada in exile. You got another one that went to the Ducks, and you have the third one that never panned out and is now retired from hockey. So you take those 3 high first round picks that amounted to 0, and if you get a little bit of good luck on your side, maybe you can turn this around. And you got one star player for sure.
Yeah. So we're going to see. And then obviously we're going to be getting, shortly, we'll be posting it on our Instagram, Twitter, everything, when we're going to be doing it. But we're going to do our annual 32-team NFL mock drafts where we have representatives from every team coming on for a live first-round mock draft where everybody gets a couple of minutes on the clock. And we'll go through and see who the Eagles take if the fans were to pick it in a mock draft. So that'll be a lot of fun. But Bills are hot. Sixers stink. Flyers stink. Go Birds. Looking forward to getting back to Citizens Bank Park on Sunday. Yeah. Thank you, Doc. Gentlemen, final thoughts. Where are we at?
I personally, I think the season starts this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
We're going to see what they do.
Keep it up, boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep it up. That segment is brought to you by Blue Chew. Blue Chew, the powder Blue Chew. Keep it up, Phils. Ring that bell.